and welcome to the regulations section of my Crypt Keepers website. I decided to specifically isolate regulation and make it a system of data by country rather than make it inherent to each of the coins that I evaluated, because the more research I did, the more I was like, well, regulation really is something that's more specific to a country or a region rather than a coin, project, token, something that's built on the internet and designed to be massively decentralized. I love processing the data the way I do because you can really see each country relative to each other. And that's why I also decided to color code it. Like if you'll notice, you have pretty much like red light, green light, yellow light, so to speak. Like the green light countries, the ones that are highlighted in green, are the ones that are like, hey, come one, come all. We love blockchain. Set yourself up inside of our borders, and we're going to be really supportive of your blockchain project and your blockchain business domesticated within our country. But then you have countries that are completely on the other side of the spectrum and absolutely under no circumstances want blockchain going on within their borders. And they're the ones that are highlighted in red. And go figure, over time, there's evolution of the regulations and viewpoints that governments have on blockchain. In other words, you have countries like China that were once like green light, like let's really be the big bang that proliferates this new universe of blockchain. And China was originally very encouraging of operations related to blockchain setting up within their borders. For instance, companies like Bitmain, like some of the biggest mining operations of Bitcoin in the beginning, were domesticated in China. But then over time, China went from being more of a green light country to now being a lot more of a red light country. I'm not going to say overnight, but very quickly. I feel like life is full of associations and analogies. Like that's so much of how our brain relates and processes information. And one of the ways my brain has related to and processed a lot of the regulation related information and data is relating it to like a kid growing up within a certain home. Like I'm sure you guys all knew when you were growing up in school, you had some friends that had really strict like red light families, so to speak, where they weren't allowed to go out, they weren't allowed to have friends over, they were held on a very tight short leash, so to speak, right? There were heavy regulations within that household for those kids. And then you had the households that were like the green light hippie households where the parents were like, yeah, you could totally have your like boyfriend or girlfriend over and like close the door when you go in the room, and they just didn't care. They'd rather, if you're gonna drink, just drink at their house so they know you're safe. Like those parents, like the green light families, right? So I feel like each country is kind of like that. And I don't feel like there's any one blanket, so to speak, of a right answer of the way to do it. I think like just like it would be with a certain teenager growing up or something, it just depends on that kid based on what regulations are gonna work best for them. That's one of the most beautiful things about the internet and blockchain technology within it is the fact that, you know, if you are a company that wants to domesticate itself within a certain country because it just seems like the most favorable place to set up a blockchain project, domesticate a blockchain project, but then regulations change and then you hit that age where hopefully as a company you're viable enough to do so, almost like a teenager. You hit that age where you're hopefully viable enough to do so, where you can just move out. And that's what's happening in a lot of these regions. For instance, China, where all of a sudden it's really strict, a really red light space, so to speak, in terms of regulation. And so now a lot of these companies are like, okay, fine, well, we'll just go to Singapore, or we'll just go to Hong Kong, or we'll just go to Switzerland, or we'll just go somewhere, or Japan, like where it is more acceptable, Australia, like there's so many other countries that will accept us and accept our technology and our mission and vision and values and who we want to become as a business and as a blockchain. And so they just move, and that's part of it, you know, growing your wings and flying away from the nest once in a while if the nest isn't the best place for you to learn and grow anymore. Kind of a little tangent on that is some don't decide to full on move out of the region that they're in to do business. I mean, there are things like VPNs, like virtual private networks. I know those have just been booming in China from what I heard ever since the regulations got harsher. And that's the other beautiful part that I absolutely love about technology, is the fact that for every like iron fist regulation or extra little clamp on the vice grip that gets placed regulatory wise or even tax wise on blockchain and on cryptocurrency, there's this other loophole that shows up. Like for every door that closes, there's a window that opens. I think it's the opposite. For every window that gets closed regulatory wise with technology, like there's a whole door that opens somewhere else, and you can find a way around that regulation, around that extra vice grip, however you want to view it. Like for every evolutionary step that regulation tries to take, technology is able to take 2 or 3 over the top of it most of the time. And that's the thing, that's that whole like cliche expression, where there's a will, there's a way. And honestly, there is so much willpower behind blockchain technology at this point, and behind cryptocurrency, and underlying all those, there's a huge amount of willpower underlying the need for decentralization and democracy on a global level, that for every regulatory step that's taken by a certain country, which represents a very old school model at this point, there's going to be that many more steps, that much more willpower funneled in to making sure information, currency, and commerce and just is able to be decentralized and democratized. And that's excellent. And that is the message I think I want to end on for this regulation section. So have fun clicking around. There's all kinds of other data and other pages that you'll click on in this website. And I'll see you later. Bye.